Hey there, friend. You're listening to the Hot Mess Hotline, and this is Stephanie Crevens. You are totally in the right place if you're an ambitious leader who's charged with delivering on the tech of the future right now. In order to do that, you and your team need to upskill and tackle old problems with new ways of thinking. In the past, we would have called this change management and leadership development, but change is now the air that we breathe, and your team needs a unified strategy for the 21st century. And that's what we have for you here. Today's conversation is with a member of our faculty, Tonya Wallace. She is an amazing executive coach that we are bringing on to help our IT leaders and our clients with their toughest leadership moments. You're going to hear in our conversation today why Tonya is known as the culture guru and the agile Jedi. And part of the uniqueness that Tonya brings to our team is that she is an IT leader in the trenches with you, with our clients every single day. So this is, if you want to use the word side hustle, this is her side hustle, doing executive coaching for us. She's a John Maxwell certified speaker and trainer. She's a disc consultant. She's an executive coach. I mean, she does it all. But the reason she is part of the team is because she brings a perspective that you can learn from. So with that, let's dig into that conversation. Tonya, I am so grateful to be having this conversation with you. So our listeners can get to know you better and your style. Let's start first with your successes as a coach and share some really good stories about how you've supported people and clients as a coach so we can hear about your awesomeness.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's such a blessing to be here and to be able to share with fellow game changers in various industries here. So I was thinking about like what would be like the most impactful story for me to be able to relay it to the audience, and it has to be when I took over my area that I'm in right now, which is the e-commerce delivery stream. So I am a stream engineer or director of solution delivery. Okay. And what I do is I optimize individuals and teams to be their best. And so our output there is a digital workflow, and we change the way people buy and sell and use cars and vehicles at Cox on Moment. So they put me in a space that had the lowest eNPS score. And they did it very purposeful. I was super blessed because I did not know that for 6 months, the VPs had been asking for me to come over to their area and do the things that I had done in my previous area and help build the culture. So I'm known as a culture guru, culture expert, and come in there and help people to grow. So when I moved into the new space, they had a very young entrepreneurial mindset. Everybody was kind of coming into that space and building up this brand new, innovative AI machine learning technology, and really just kind of forming and just very autonomous, no structure, nothing, right? Well, because of that, there was a lot of pressure on that culture. People were working weekends, they were working late. There were a lot of oversight with VPs and just no structure, right? They weren't having fun anymore. It was fun when they first came in with that entrepreneurial go-getter. And when they hit that first milestone, they were like, yes, we did it. And they're like, yes, no, go scale. And so as they're scaling, of course, they're doing more and their teams are growing and knowledge is transferring and all the things are happening. But when you scale and you don't have structure and you don't focus on building the culture, then the culture doesn't thrive and the people don't thrive and the technology isn't as great, right?
Yes.
And so they brought me into this area and kind of dropped me in the wilderness in there. And I'm like, hey, I'm here. And I came to the first meeting, and I'm known as just I'm an energy bunny. I love bringing energy into spaces. And so I'm on camera and I'm like, hey guys, what's good? What's going on? And they're like very monotone and I know, I was like, oh, boo-hoo, what's going on here? And so I immediately for the first meeting, I just started to engage people. And so I think that is probably the one thing so I'm going to go and drop a nuggets along the way, but The first thing is to engage people. I find that sometimes a lot of leaders come into spaces and they're not really seeing people as people, they're seeing the work.
Yes.
And so you have to be very cognizant and very careful to make sure that you have separate agendas. See the people and then see the work, right? Because if you focus on developing and optimizing people, the teams will grow. If the teams are optimized, the work will get done and your goals will be met. People started to reach out to me and we started to have these Vegas sessions.
Vegas sessions?
Yeah.
Oh, tell us more. I've never heard this term before, but I
know.
like it. I like
Vegas
it.
sessions. And they would drop me little nuggets and they would say, hey, I just want to let you know, I was like, they were pinging me on like 8:00 on Sunday. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, where's the why? Like, why is that happening? Right.
Yes.
So it's not just about the behavior of crossing the lines. It's about why is that happening? What can we do to alleviate and get people answers in the space of time that they need? So I started having one-on-ones and I started building trust. So not just bringing the energy into the meeting, helping to bring inclusion within the meetings, helping to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries and, graduations and things like that, where people started to feel like people again.
Yes.
Not just employees, but they started to feel like people and we started to care about one another. And so when I would have these one-on-ones, these Vegas sessions with each of the teams, they started to share. And I started to document the patterns of behaviors that they were seeing and they were letting me know. That gave me an entire backlog of things that I needed to do and problems that I needed to tackle along the way. People and process, right? Yes. And so one of the common themes that I had problems with was one of the people in there. So I found out that there was a major cancer that we had within that environment. They would come into meetings, they would create spin.
Yes.
They would derail priorities. They weren't focused on things. And so as I collected information and feedback, there were two approaches that I could take. And I wanted to take the lighter one first so that I hopefully didn't have to get to the harder one,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So the lighter approach was to help this person wake up in their behavior. And so as a behavior expert, a DISC consultant and trainer, I love behavior. I love understanding that people are not wanting to just be disruptive.
Correct.
A lot of times it's just they have their single focus and they don't mean it, but they don't understand the repercussions. They can't see outside of where their needs are.
Yes. Or they have needs that they're trying to get met that they can't articulate to others, to themselves.
Yes.
And
exactly.
and they create disruption and they need help with their awareness.
Yes.
Full disclosure, I've been that person. So no judgment. We've all been that person.
I think we've all been, I was going to say, I think we've all been that person before, really tackling that emotional intelligence part. We've all been that person. So I came to that person and at that time they were high level. They were in the C-suite. And so I had already established a really good relationship with them because I understood their personality, because their personality and their behavior style is like mine. And they're very straightforward, extremely direct, right?
Yes.
Really just focus and kind of impatient. And when you're impatient and you're under stress, you get aggressive. And so when you're dealing with people who don't have that behavior set, it scares people, right? And so I came to them and kind of let them know, hey, this is what I'm seeing in the meeting. It wasn't about other people. It wasn't about information other people were giving me. It was about my reactions to the things that were being said inside of those meetings. Hey, when you said this, I noticed like there was a quietness in the room, right? And so I started to help that person kind of wake up. And that happened for months. I was trying different tactics in different ways. And unfortunately, that particular behavior and that particular person did not want to change that behavior. Okay. And so I was left, Stephanie, with a decision. Decision's going to be either that person or the entire delivery string.
Yes.
thankfully, I had the confidence of another person in the C-suite, and we were able to talk about some of the behaviors. And unbeknownst to me, because I had just gotten in that area, months ago, this person was already escalated under the microscope and things like that. And so I had to impart my advice. I said, hey, you really got a choice here. You got a choice here. You're either going to keep this super smart person, but disruptive person that you're not going to be able to build a culture that you want to build, or you're going to have to, help them to exit or put them in another part of the organization to focus on one of the number one initiatives within the company. And we're going to have to really work on the culture here. And so as months went by, that person, through natural or forced attrition, don't want to tell you which one, ended up, leaving the company. And I, my mission was just to move forward. And so now it was focusing on who are my high performers and who are my low performers. And so helping my high performers become even more optimal within their space, more disciplined within their space, helping them to understand what the future was for them and the visibility and the opportunities were for them, because they were already go-getters and they just needed that carrot dangled. And then also to identify my low performers and partner them with people that could coach them within their discipline and partner with them to be the best that they can. In addition, process. I tackled process.
Real quick, Tonya, I want to go back because this is what you're queuing up. And I have a clarifying question here. What you're queuing up is the dilemma that so many leaders face constantly. And I'm so grateful that you are a well-equipped manager as coach and a well-equipped executive coach for us here at the Change Architects. And you hold a unique position for us because most of our coaches are former managers as coaches, but now just do executive coaching. And so you are living right alongside the leaders that you're coaching for us, which I just think is such a wonderful blessing to those that get to work with you.
Thank you.
And they have that same dilemma. Someone who is high performing in several ways, super smart, yet toxic to the culture. And they have to make those very hard decisions.
Yes.
What were you able to see about the culture from a new perspective as a manager once that person was no longer creating that toxicity?
Autonomy.
Say more.
People were able to think on their own. They were able to self-organize. They were able to have their stress level completely went down.
Yes.
They were able to innovate at a higher level. We were able to self-organize in so many different ways. I can't even tell you the variety of ways we're able to self-organize. People are smart. I think sometimes companies forget. You did hire very smart people.
Yes.
Something's going on so the problem with having the command control approach that was happening within that particular environment, it was stifling the creativity and the innovation of very smart people. And so once that was lifted off and they had room to breathe, it was scary for them. I'll just be real honest. They were afraid.
Yes.
They were scared because now they're like, wait a minute. I don't have this person coming into the meeting telling me what to do. I actually have to think now for myself. And so part of my job is to be that cheerleader and that supporter and that driver, right? So behind the scenes, what I was doing was working with their manager to help hold them accountable through their own KPIs, right? Their own deliverables, their own goals, their own development items to tie that performance to behavior and lock it. Right. So it's like, hey, here's the expectation that we have from a managerial perspective, and here's the room that you have to do it. And you also have the ability to ask for help, have coaching, mentorship, and partnership to be able to take yourself to wherever you want to go. So it's not just a one approach option. Like you have to have multiple pieces within that strategy.
Yes. Okay. That's awesome. For you as that leader as well, the things that you're navigating on the back end that you can't be completely transparent about because of the HR issues involved, because of the emotions, because of the layers and the types of leaders. And in some ways you have to ask for people's trust. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but just making an observation about what they might be feeling, what you might be feeling in those moments is just, you have to navigate your pieces as well, but you can't always be transparent about it. And that, I think that stinks sometimes, and people just don't understand that.
Yeah. And I think, I always say, one of the my coin phrase, play chess with your hands tied behind your back. And all you have is your ability to influence. That is the game we play within corporate America. We have to listen with empathy. We have to understand how we show up as leaders. How do people perceive me when I walk into a room? I have to know that. I have to be able to look and scan the room and see who's sitting back because I walked in, who's sitting up, who's agitated with my presence. Like, I have to be able to see that, and so that I can go ahead and connect with that person or understand where I am in my space.
Yes.
To be able to navigate that.
Yes.
So I can choose to walk into the space, identify a pattern of behavior, and then strategically influence that behavior in my favor.
That is so powerful. And there's we don't have a 3-hour long conversation podcast to dig into strategic influence skills, but because that's a whole other topic in and of itself.
It sure is.
So smart. So smart. Let's circle that back to, because you did walk us through, identifying your high performers, identifying and helping them understand their career path now that some of these other roadblocks were gone.
Yes.
Building in process, you mentioned. What was your strategic approach to the low performers now that some of these other excuses were now cleared from the table, if you will?
Yeah. So that layered approach had to be multiple things, right? Understanding the behavior of the low performance is super critical, because each of these behavior sets has a different strategy in and of itself. Sometimes the low performers were low performers. I'll give you just one example, because again, we don't have 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
I had one low performer who was a high analyst. And so very, very analytical people have a tendency to have a perfectionist vein.
Yes.
The perfectionist vein makes them slow to respond and slow to change. So they were always seen as resistant, not having enough time, always asking more questions. And there was a perception that they didn't understand, they didn't get it, they didn't, and so they had all of these perceived behaviors that people were thinking they were saying, but actually it had to do with everything about just his personality and his behavior.
Yes.
So when I was working with him, I was able to help him to understand who he was, because that's self-awareness is step one.
Yes. Because
Step
oftentimes
two.
without self-awareness, people see their perspective as right and others as wrong. And that's not what this is. It is your perspective is your perspective. Sometimes the tools in your toolbox are helpful and sometimes they're not, especially in an innovative, fast driving culture. We got to reconcile those speeds.
Yes, 100%. And a lot of times, to add on to that, people don't see themselves in how others are receiving their behaviors. So as they become more self-aware, and it doesn't take too long for people to just say, I am like that. Well, how do you think? So it's just that those coaches, the open questions. How do you think people perceive that? When you are not responding to the emails because you're thinking about it and taking in more information, you're really doing the work. Like, you're over there crunching down. You're over there 6 hours, but you haven't responded to the email yet. You haven't responded to the thing. How do you feel? How do you think other people are receiving that? Man, they must think I'm either lazy or so they're answering their own questions, right? They're answering their own questions. And so they're like, oh my gosh, so then it's strategy. What's strategy? And I'm an agilist, right? So everything, sits within the agile space. So it's a matter of like, okay, how do we time boxes? How do we iterate this? How do we go and work in sprints and take small chunks and do wins? And so it's a matter of shifting some of those behaviors. So when somebody pings you, what's a simple thing that you think you can do? I mean, I guess I can just tell them that, I saw it, I got it, I'm going to respond to you by, and then put the time. Okay, so what is the time duty? If you say that you're going to respond by 2 p.m., okay, well, then that means that I can't spend too much time on it. I have literally 2 hours to get this out. So instead of the perfectionist and spinning all day and the next day, now you have a time box of 2 hours to get that thing out of there. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
And so you just see that performance go up.
Yes. Yes. And you see the relationships go up too, because now there's that common understanding and that connection that wasn't there before.
The trust.
Yes. Oh, that's the
it's so juicy.
That is so good. And it's what I love about these stories is I feel like folks put the pressure on themselves to create big change with big action. And it's these small moments, these small, seemingly small questions that just create these little pivots, and then another pivot, and then another pivot. And all of a sudden you look back 6 months and you can see the tremendous growth that's happened, the tremendous change that's happened, the increased trust, the feeling on the team, like the vibe is just good again. You see the fun faces on the camera, like those were all from these micro moments of positivity and openness that added up that create huge change.
And one of the greatest benefits of that as well, in addition to that, they're okay to fail.
Yes.
People are okay failing out loud, and it creates a culture of openness and courage, right? They're like, you know what, I screwed up on this, but here's what I learned. I feel like one of the greatest culture improvements that I made in the area that I'm in right now is continuous improvement. Relentless focus on optimize everything. Everything at every second, and not just wait until the end of the month, end of the quarter, end of the week. If you have something that came up and you had a problem and you solved it, we want to know now. We want to know right now, because if there's something that we can share broadly with our leadership group and they can learn from that, and they're like, oh, I'm literally going through that problem right now. It creates that, I should say, stimulates the conversation of being focused on continuous improvement.
Yes. We have recently tightened down our project management process and become very deliberate about using agile processes. I wouldn't say I'm an agilist like you are, Tonya, but we're doing our thing. We're practicing it. We're piloting it, which I guess by definition makes us agilists, but we started doing daily priorities. We do a daily sync via chat, and then provide just real-time coaching. For example, hey, you're overcommitted on this one, and other team members got this going on. I need you to step in over there too, because you can help. Sometimes it's capacity, sometimes it's expertise. But what it has done, and we literally just implemented this the last week and a half, is forcing us to have the misalignment conversations, which then forces the good kind of conflict about the work.
Yes.
That is speeding us up, is powerful, gets our juices going, gets us more creative, forces us to say, what is the problem that we're actually solving for here? Because as you know, in too many workplaces, we start solutionizing for stuff and we're like, what are we problem solving for? Oh, I don't know, but I had another good idea, especially with innovative people, right? It's like another good idea. But it has become unbelievably powerful and allow us to wrestle with alignment issues and priority setting, because we're such a small team, as you know. But I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to share more of this with our clients because of what it's the focus that it's focus that it's forcing for us. I can't say all those words. The focus that it's forcing for us.
You're nailing it. You're nailing it, because priorities are king, right? But then also to add on to Miss Agilist on the other side of the camera over there is your WIP limit, your work in progress. And you have now you have the ability for your team members to say, Stephanie, how many things are you actually working on? Yes. And you're being like 5. So we agreed, team norms, team agreements, we agreed that we would only work on 2 to 3 things at a time.
Yes.
So then that team member has the ability and the privilege to challenge you and say, what 2 are you dropping?
Yes. Oh, that's so smart. A WIP limit. We literally just had the version of that conversation yesterday without the good terminology. So,
you go.
Oh my gosh. This is also something that our clients experience a lot is, I'll use the word whip limit, too many irons in the fire, too many good ideas rolling, too many things that have gone on for too long. What is your approach to coaching around better understanding capacity, better understanding, what the human brain can actually get done and focus on?
Yeah. There's a great book out there. I think it's called Essentialism, I think.
Oh, yes. Greg McCowan. Oh, yes. God, that book made me angry.
I'm like, what? But I would say that value. That's it. Mic drop. End of story. Period. Point blank. Value. Okay. Value.
Yes.
You have got. So I'll give you a story, and then I'll tie it to executive priorities. So we have a product backlog. Okay, this backlog comes from architecture, engineering, product business, and it's a single backlog. Everything filters in, and we have a stacked priority list, right?
Okay.
And so when we go through our discovery process and we're looking at that problem to solve, what's the problem statement? What are we trying to solve here? And then we look at the success criteria of what is the value that this thing, if we decide to do it, is going to solve.
Yes.
Okay. If it passes the problem discovery lane, it goes into now solutioning. Now it has enough value in it to now be able to solution. A lot of times we don't stop and look at the problem that we're trying to solve and identify and quantify the value, right? Project management practice, is it doable and is it feasible, right? So you have to drive the conversation of value and then take that and then now push it over to your own backlog. So if an executive has a backlog, they have to tie that to the value. Yes. I have 20 things that I'm working on. Can I group this into whether it's tied to my performance, right? Is it tied to my bonus? Tied to my performance, my bonus? Is this something that's going to be tied to optimizing another particular area? So then you start to slot it. Then you can look at your timeline and say, and then you time box it.
Yes.
So value and priority, and time box it, and then have your timeline it like a roadmap, and then time box it so that you're very contained within solving that problem. So sometimes you'll have many subcommittees or cohorts that are working on different things that all feed up, right? And so you'll say, okay, this is a group of things that I need to work with. Here's the people that I've delegated it to, and here's the accountability that I'm going to have, and I'm going to put them in a time box. I need this done by end of quarter 3. Yes.
Yeah. Unbelievably powerful. And and again, this is why you're one of our game changers, one of our change makers here. Like, my soapbox this year so far is, I think in our workplaces, we have forgotten that our job is to deliver value together.
Yes.
The key word being value and together. Yes. And there's an exchange, right? Like, there's an exchange of money, there's an exchange of time, there's an exchange of knowledge, there's an exchange of trust in order to deliver value.
Yeah.
And we have to recognize that oftentimes it's our leader's job, and this is why they need support through executive coaching, why we need team coaching. It's our executive's job to define what value is based on the strategic plan, based on KPIs, based on bonus plan, those layers. But it's the leader's job to define value and what's the drop dead deadline. Like, what's the speed that we will work at, and how do we do that?
There's a quick story. So long time ago, I was working as a Scrum Master, and we were pivoting. So they wanted us to stop work and pivot.
Okay.
And so my job as a Scrum Master is to maintain the balance, right? Maintain everybody's good mood, good attitude. And so thinking about, okay, how am I going to message this, right? How do I message our pivot? Keep, like, we're in the middle of a sprint, like it's hands are on keyboard, like how do I do this thing, right? I'm a little younger than I am today. And so I said to myself, well, here's the question. If they're not working on something that is valuable, why would they want to continue coding it tomorrow? And so that was a game changer for me, and something that I've always carried with me in communicating pivots. We don't want to just pivot on the dime all the time, because that insinuates you have a problem. Houston, there's a problem. There's a problem with your intake, your priorities, your shifting priorities and things like that are happening. We've got to fix that.
Yes, that's a version of a hot mess. It's chaos inducing. Not good. Yes.
All of that.
There is a too innovative. There's such thing as being too innovative.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because there's a cost of delay.
Yes.
A cost of that pivot.
You're so smart, Tonya. You didn't say the same way better than I do.
like mine.
I know, right?
So I feel like, I've always carried that with me. It's like, wait a minute, if I'm going to message this, I need to be on board first. It's change management practices, right? Like, wait a minute. Okay. So you want me to message this to 38 teams. I'm cool with that. So let me get on board. Let me understand the value of why we're stopping something or we're starting something, so I can get excited about it. Because if I'm excited about it, I can communicate my excitement to the next person, and I can help them understand. Literally the thing that you're working on right now has shifted from like number 2 to like number 22. So this is all tied to our OKRs and our KPIs and our bonus structure and our success in the industry. And so what we need to do, because we heard from the environment that they wanted this, and it makes sense to us, and we have the ability to be thought leaders and innovative leaders in the industry. So let's go do this. How about that? And everybody's like, yeah, let's go do it.
Yes. So smart. So smart. Oh my gosh. Again, I'm just so grateful to have your wisdom, your guidance, your coaching style with us, because you're in the trenches with our leaders. And that just brings a level of expertise that our leaders need. I'm so excited. All right.
Part of it.
Yeah. Two questions here, and I'll let you get back to changing your part of the world until we connect again. How would you describe your coaching style?
Because I'm a DISC consultant and I specialize in behavior, I believe that coaching has to be a fingerprint.
Oh,
meaning that it's that person on the other side of the screen that I need to understand. Because if I come in and help them, and I have an assumption of what I'm going to do with that person, then I'm going to be immediately wrong.
Yep.
And so what I need to understand is who they are as a person, what their goals are, how they come across, how self-aware they are, and so that I'm able to help that person understand their strengths, make sure that they're leading with their strengths, help them use their strengths to identify problems in their area, and then strategically attack each problem using a customized fingerprinted solution that they're comfortable with leading. Because if you just put things out there, you can, the saying, you can bring a horse to water, you can't make it drink.
Yes. So
this is about helping the person optimize. And that is my sole goal, is to help those folks understand who they are, help them optimize within their strengths, and then help them to adjust to different behaviors that they're seeing within their environment so that they can win.
Awesome. Awesome. Again, alignment is why we're together. I just think about just the synchronicity of us coming together is just pure magic. Pure magic. Last question. What do you think is important for folks to know about choosing you as a coach?
Oh, get ready for some hard work.
Ah, yes.
Meaning that looking inside is hard. It could go anywhere.
It is.
It could go anywhere. And I'm a homework gal. Like I do ask folks to do their homework. And I think the number one thing that people need to know within working with me is stay woke, because that will be from the first session. If there are things that we uncover within the sessions that we have, you have to stay woke. It is not just waking up within that particular hour that you and I are talking.
Yes.
This is about making sure that you're taking that information, that you have activities that happen out of that. You have retrospectives, you're reflecting constantly so that we can reflect and share and keep those things building as we go forward.
Yes. Agree completely, because our job is to not be with our client for forever.
Yeah.
It's to equip them to live the life of their dreams, their career of their dreams.
Yeah.
And we're guides for an amount of time, but this is your life. This is your career. This is your leadership style. You have to do the work, but Tonya is going to support you and invite you into something and love you real hard along the way, which is what real coaching does. Like that's, it's pure compassion at its finest, because we want what's best for you, but only you know what's best for you.
Yeah. It's the confidence, you know, when the eagle has left the nest, when the confidence is so high that they can think on their own.
Yes.
Create solutions on their own and fly on their own.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you again, Tonya, for this conversation, for your time, for your expertise, for your willingness to do this with us. Just so grateful. It's never lost on me that none of us get to do this work alone. And that's the magic of all of this. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate you. Great to be a part of the team. Yay.
Okay, so if you were watching this episode on video, you saw me feverishly taking notes. So many good things. I feel like this was like a free consulting and coaching session in and of itself with this conversation with Tonya. I learned so much. And I just want to share with you my key takeaways, and I would love to hear yours wherever you're watching and listening in too. But did you hear when she said, number one, engage people? Have two separate agendas. Your agenda for how you work with people to engage them in their work, and how to engage the work to get that done. And I believe what Tonya believes. If you engage people, the work will take care of itself, not vice versa, just focusing in on the work, because we're all human beings coming together, trying to deliver value together, to be self-aware, to communicate, to build trust. And if as a leader, you can help people with self-awareness, see them for who they are, help them have the right kind of autonomy for their role, they will, in essence, pay you back, pay the team back by doing the right work at the right time with the right resources. And so that's really my biggest takeaway here is how do you engage people in the work, not how do you do the work by engaging people. That priority is the right level. People first, work second. So if you're digging what Tonya's putting down around agile, about coaching, about DISC, about leadership, we'd love to talk to you more about working with Tonya. But if anything, I just hope you got as much from that conversation as I did. Now, let's get back to changing your part of the world, delivering value with your colleagues. And if you got value from this episode and would share it with another change maker, game changer in your network, I would be so grateful, because that helps us get this message of fixing hot messes, creating pro troublemakers, leading change in the 21st century to more and more people. And I'll see you soon, my friend.